Men, and I use the term loosely. Uh, Today is the third day working on this bike. It's Wednesday. The owner is coming Monday to pick it up. I was hoping to at least try to fire it up yesterday. Just didn't make it. Getting the carb installed it turned out to be a real pain in the butt, and I'll show you why. But anyway, put the carb together yesterday on video, got it installed, not on video. I'll show you what the problem was. But today, this is going to crank with an attempt to start it. That's for sure. I gotta get this running. Well, I don't have to, but I'm going to try at least. So let's start out. I'll show you what the problem was with the carb. I got some oil in it. I cranked it yesterday late in the day, very late in the day. I got oil returning to the tank just off of cranking it with the plugs out, so oil circulation is good. The engine didn't bind up or lock up or, anything, on account of stuff in the combustion chambers or any of that. The wiring, I think, is all straightened out except for one wire that's broken. I think it's the high beam indicator. We'll fix that a little bit later and put the headlight and all that back on. But today, top off the oil, put oil in the trans, and get some clean gas for it, and we're going to try to get this thing fired up. But first, let me show you what the hang-up was yesterday on the carb. Okay, this is, of course, the intake manifold and the carb installation. And right here, this bracket and this cable, this is the throttle cable. This bike has the internal to the handlebars throttle cable. The Tillotson variety, and I think the Linker variety, the Linker and the Tillotson varieties had a push throttle. When you grab the throttle and you twisted it, you push the throttle open. This one does pull the throttle, but it's the same setup as the push throttle. And right here is where the problem lies. I wanted, of course, to use one of the heavy-duty T-bolt types. And just FYI, V-Twin is going to cut me off one of these days, I swear. The ones you get from V-Twin are junk. They have a number 10 size, bolt over here. I get these from McMaster Car, and this is a quarter 28 heavy-duty stainless steel. You'd have to be a gorilla to break this thing. This is a tough clamp, and I don't know if you'll be able to read that or not. Maybe if I get it in frame, you can. It's Clampco, made in USA. The number is 941 Yankee Lima. It's 2.2 inches. Yeah. And then there's another number over here, 236231. But anyway, I get these at McMaster Car. They're a little bit pricey. But hey, versus your carburetor falls off, a small price to pay. The other area where they're more heavy duty is in here, the T part of the bolt. This is thick, heavy steel. You get those cheap ones, and this steel is very thin, and when you tighten the nut, it deforms. These are definitely a way to go. Anyway, this is what I want to use. The trouble of it is the T-bolt part of it ends up wanting to be on the top, okay? Well, if it's on the top, it's in the way of the bracket for the throttle cable, so you can't put it on the top. So I probably spent 3 hours, and once again, if you're the customer watching this, I'm not going to bill you for all that. 3 hours jacking around with, rotating this thing around, trying to find a spot where I could get it to work, and there really isn't. The disadvantage of these is the attachments for the T-bolt to the clamp are bulky, and there's not a lot of room in there. So in some locations, these run into the cylinder, the fins on the cylinder head, and it won't work. If you put them facing up on the top, which is the way I do them on most bikes, the throttle cable bracket is in the way. On this side, the choke cable is somewhat in the way. if you put them on the back, like in an up-down orientation or in a down-up orientation, the back of the horn bracket is in the way. If this was my motorcycle, in a heartbeat, I'd rework this a horn bracket so that it won't be in the way. But this setup on a Harley is just ridiculous for many reasons. But anyway, it's in the way of the clamp. So anyway, I tried several configurations to get it to work. Couldn't get it to work, and very reluctantly ended up putting in the stock Harley band clamps, and they just, they're just not very substantial. And just another FYI, yesterday, hang-up wise, this is the Bendix choke cable, and the wire that goes through the middle of this was just a little bit too short to fully open the choke. And when I got the bike, if you open the choke, it would not quite open all the way. It'd get about yay far, and it ran out of cable. So I had to fix that, and the way I fix them is this. If you take the choke knob, and the wire that goes through there is crimped in the last 1/4 inch or so of that knob. Well, I just cut that off, throw the shaft of the knob on the lathe. I drill a hole in it just a scotch, down the end of the, here's your knob shaft or whatever. I drill a hole down the end just a scotch larger than the wire diameter. And I found that if you get a piece of piano wire, which I have some on hand just for fixing these, and you sand it a little bit, regular old rosin core solder will stick to it. So I tin up the wire, shove it in the hole that I just drilled, heat the shaft up with 40 watt standard soldering iron. Gets hot enough, the solder will flow in there, and you could solder the piano wire however long you want it to be into the shaft of the choke knob. And I probably should have showed that, but I was lazy, and there was a little time constraint on this bike. But anyway, so I got the choke fixed, closes all the way, opens all the way. After working on the carbon, getting the detent fixed, it falls into the detent nicely. So yeah, that's all fixed up now. One of the other reasons I didn't get around to firing it up is I wanted to have typically with the T-bolt clamps, although you still should use the carb brace, I'm not worried about the carb falling off just, in a short test drive or, running, just sitting here running. But on these crappy Harley clamps, I always got to be worried about the carb falling off. So I had to get the air cleaner installed on there. I had to get the brace hooked up, so I wanted the carb in its final install configuration to make sure it wasn't going to fall off. But it's there now. I got that done yesterday. So without further ado, I'm going to finish topping off the engine oil. I'm going to top off the trans oil and put the plugs in it and try to start it, I think. I think it's at that point. If you guys have worked on Sportsters, you're pretty familiar with this rat's nest under the headlight. And this one really is not bad because it doesn't have turn signals on it. And I was rooting around in here, troubleshooting the initial no start. And it was all the wires on this post right here, this screw. The screw was loose, and there was, besides the relay being bad, this was loose, and that was a problem. But anyway, there were also some bogus splices in there that I cut out and replaced with the aircraft type splices I use. And and there was an extra wire just dangling in here. And I determined that's the wire for the high-low indicator. So anyway, I'm going through this thing, just making sure everything is hooked up correctly, and trying to, straighten the routing out a little bit so it isn't quite, a bowl of spaghetti like it was. So one of the things I did, if I had to take all the wires off of a terminal, I just zip timed them together and labeled them, and I arbitrarily 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 unnumbered them. So all of these wires came off of one screw, this screw here, and I got the diagram. And according to the diagram, there's supposed to be 3 orange wires, 2 white wires, and a gray wire, which is in fact what's hooked up on this one. So we're going to cut the zip tie. And hook these all back up. And just FYI, I would only unhook one terminal at a time because I don't want to have to figure out where all these wires went, you know. I know a lot of people are intimidated by wiring. Uh, yeah, it can be a little intimidating, I guess, but you know, what's the worst that can happen? You hook something up wrong, you short everything out, the wires catch on fire and it burns up the motorcycle. Hell, that's not that bad. 3 orange wires, 1 white wire. Where's the other white wire at? Supposed to be 2 of them. Ah, there it is. See, and this is where it gets problematic. Is you know, the wires are not, in some cases, really long enough, or they've been monkeyed with and shortened, so it gets to be a problem. In order to figure out the best routing and to make sure that you know, the wires aren't rubbing or pinching on something that will cut the insulation, I've got the terminal strip bolted down so I know where everything is going to end up. Oh, and you know what? I just said arbitrarily 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Harley actually has a little number stamped over here, number 1 and number 5. And a very, you know, it's really, it's not that bad. Okay, 4 and 2, the screw faces backwards, so I can't get to those. So we'll go to number 3. Uh-oh, and there's a problem. Number 3 is supposed to have 3 wires on it, but it only has 1. What's up with that? Yeah, this one I did not disconnect. Interesting. How could that be? Okay, number 3 is turn signal wiring, and this bike does not have turn signals. So the main harness has a provision for turn signals, but there are no turn signals installed. Okay, so we got 5, 3. Let's see what's on number 1. Number 1 should have 2 blue wires on it. Well, oh, I said 2 blue. On the wiring diagram it has a B. It might be black. Yeah, I'm betting that B is for black. Yeah, I looked at the Harley code. B is for black. BE is for blue. So we got 2 black wires go to number 1. On the bikes I build, if I use the headlight eyebrow, I like to use this terminal strip. This thing is actually a pretty good idea, and it actually works out pretty well. So let's see, we got to loosen it up to get to number 2 and number 4. And I got a gob over here that's labeled 2, and I got a single wire over here, a purple wire that is labeled number 4. And I happen to know that Harley uses purple and brown for turn signals, so I suspect this purple wire, or violet as Harley calls it, is a turn signal wire. And it is the only wire on this terminal. Once again, they've provisioned the main harness, but the sub-harnesses are not there. So this is essentially an unused wire, and I could cut this off and pull it out of the harness. Guy doesn't need it, but we're going to leave it there. And I had this bolted down hard because, like I said, I wanted to make sure I got everything routed as optimally as possible, which I think I did. Get this out of there. We'll get a hold of this purple wire. Going to tear my tag off of it. Okay, and that leaves the last little bundle over here. labeled number 2. And let's look at the diagram. According to the diagram, number 2 should have 2 blues. There's the 2 blues and 2 blacks right here. Uh-oh, this white wire doesn't belong there, I don't think. Let me try to figure out what happened with that. Okay, I screwed up. There's actually supposed to be 3 white wires on number 5, and this is one of them. Yeah, interesting. So we're going to cut this, pull this off. Let's see, that goes with those guys. And I get this hooked up on number 5. Personally, I know Harley did it here, but I gotta think it's bad practice to have, 7 wires hooked up to 1 screw and 1 terminal. I mean, you're just asking for, shouldn't have popped out of there again. You're just asking for, 1 failure here will disable, everything practically. But that's how they did it, so we'll be leaving it alone. The screw is barely long enough. Okay, so that leaves here, we got a black and a blue. And these should go to number 4. Back up behind here. And I'll check the diagram one more time. I think I said 2 before, or 4 before. It's actually number 2. So number 2, we got a black and a blue. And then we got another black that actually is 2 blacks that are the backlights for the Speedo and the tack, which I think are pointless on Harley because they rarely work. Well, the lights might work, but they're just going to illuminate broken gauges for you. You know, this bike is a 72, and man, this thing is, this is ancient. This is 50s, truly 50s, wiring technique, engine design, brakes. I used to work in a Triumph shop not too long before they went out of business, and late 70s, and we had new Triumphs in there for sale. Bonneville's Tigers, you have it, was there. And beautiful, beautiful motorcycles. I mean, just beautiful, in that classic British way. And I think they were $1,600 or $1,700. And right down the street from us, a Honda dealer. And they had brand new 754s. They were like $1,200 or $1,400. Is it any wonder they went out of business? And Honda's so outclassed Harley, Triumph, BSA. It's no wonder they went out of business. BSA and Triumph and Norton, but beautiful, beautiful motorcycles. Just terrible to see what happened. Okay, so that ought to work. All the wires are stuffed in there. I want all of this secured when I try to run it the first time, because I don't want there to be any danger of arcing and sparking from that terminal strip bouncing around, or a wire left off and bouncing around in there. So I want it all secured. And 1 wire to hook up, which is the high-low beam indicator, and that doesn't go through the terminal strip. It just goes from the high beam terminal over here to the indicator light over there. Should be a piece of cake. Everything is substantially back together again. Everything it needs to be. No seat, no air cleaner. All the wiring is hooked back up. Most everything is snugged up. Headlight works. Horn works. High-low works. high-low beam works, generator light is on, oil pressure light is on, tail light is on. The plugs are in it, everything is hooked up, and when I hit the button it should crank over and it should spark. There's nothing in the gas tank, there's no gas in it, so it shouldn't spark. I just want to hit the button real quick and make sure it cranks. Well, it cranks sometime. Not quite enough to pop it over. Anyway, we're going to shove it outside. I'm going to put the booster on it, and hopefully that'll give it enough juice to get her going. I just poured a couple of gallons of gas in there. Carb isn't leaking. I gave it a few twists. The accelerator pump is working. I got the 12-volt boost. I got the 12-volt booster on here. So let's see if it starts. Oh, and I did crank it over quite a bit last night. Didn't video it, but I did crank it over quite a bit with the plugs out of it. And I actually had oil returning to the tank, so I know the oil flow is good. So let's see if it'll start. Key is on. Let's give it some choke. Almost. Tried to go. Oil pump is working. You may or may not be able to hear a whining noise over the engine noise. I do believe that is either the tack cable or the tack. In hindsight, I'm thinking it was probably the tack, because after this run, I did pull the tack cable out and lube it, and it still would make the noise. So I'm not concerned about that. The owner could deal with a noisy tack later on. It's really not important as far as getting this thing running is concerned.
Yeah, that's not bad for a first startup. Not bad at all. No oil gushing out of it. Idle's halfway decent. Uh, Two things I see wrong. The tachometer cable is howling like a bitch, and the generator don't work. So I may pull the generator off and clean the commutator. That's pretty quick and pretty easy. And I may pull the tach cable off and clean it up and lube it. But I recognize that howl of a cable not being lubed, which after sitting for 35 years or whatever, that's not too surprising. Uh, it does want to hop out. The solenoid wants to hop out, so I don't know. The battery may be weak. The solenoid may be weak. The Bendix may be hanging up or damaged. Who knows? But yeah, not too shabby. Very happy with this. I like the way it's going so far.
All right. It runs. Yeah. Happy with it, really. A few things wrong that I got to address. I don't know if you could hear over the bike in the video, but the tachometer cable howls, and they do that when they need lube. So the tachometer cable howls is one thing. The generator warning light never goes off. The oil pressure warning light does go off, so that's working. It's got oil pressure, it's got flow, it's verified. And you probably heard the solenoid was kicking out. It had only engage and turn the engine over 1 out of 10 times. But the positive lead on the battery was loose. Just a couple of minutes ago, I tightened it up and hit the starter button 4 or 5 times in a row and started the engine in here on the lift 4 or 5 times in a row. The starter didn't cut out once. So maybe all that was loose wire. And that leaves the three problems. I got to deal with the tach, the generator not working, and the other problem is this. The clutch is locked up tight, man. When I get these old bikes that I work on and people want me to work on, I usually put the front wheel up against the wall so that I could, kick it into gear and, the bike can't go anywhere. I recall an incident from my ute. A buddy of mine had a panhead and we'd been working on it. And we had the clutch adjustment all f***ed up. And anyway, he wanted to go for a test ride, so of course it was kickstart. So he got a kickstart, and we were in a gravel parking lot, and he kicked it into gear, and the clutch wouldn't release because we had the adjustment all f***ed up, and that bike took off across that parking lot going 10 miles an hour. I swear to God. And he ran right into the fence at the other end of the parking lot. The bike fell over and it died out. But after that, I learned if you're not sure about the clutch, make sure you got the front wheel up against something. So in case it ain't working, it ain't going to take off on you. So today in the test firing, hour ago, whatever that was, I had the front wheel up against the wall, kicked it into gear, and the clutch would not disengage at all. And that's pretty typical of something that has been soaking in oil for the last 30 years. So we're going to pop that primary cover off. And I got clutch plates here and I got gaskets here. So at the very least, get them freed up. Now, and I think I see what's causing the generator problem, and I'll show you right now. Well, just a little bit ago, because I found these contacts corroded, I thought, well, maybe the voltage regulator contacts are corroded the same way. So I got in here to start monkeying around. The screw is down here. Went to take the cover off. Was rooting around and bumped this wire. And look at that. The generator regulator ground wire fell off. So I don't know. I'm gonna fix that, and I might try to fire it up in here real quick and see if that fixes the generator. But yeah. Keep it simple, stupid. Do the easy shit first. All right, I just got done hooking up that ground wire. Keys on, generator light. The cap is missing. Let's see if it works.
Generator fixed. All right. Yeah, all in all, a pretty good day. As you can see, I got the primary ripped open. The new clutch is in it already. It's getting kind of late here, and I am an old man. So I think I'm going to knock off for tonight and try to get this finished up tomorrow. Should be no big deal. I got to clean the primary cover, seal it up, put it back together again. The generator started working. Possibly this ground wire fixed it, or maybe it just started working. I don't know. So I don't have to work on that. The tack cable howls like a banshee still. That's an easy fix. I was half tempted to, really push through tonight and make a late night out of it and get this all together, but there's no point in doing that. I still got a few days left. So let's see, today is Wednesday. Yeah, I should be able to button it up tomorrow, and I think I've done almost everything I'm going to do to it. I talked to the owner, of course, after I got it running, told him about the, the clutch, the tack cable, the generator, and this battery is at least 2 years old. He had kept it on, a battery tender, but, I don't know, 2-year-old battery, sometimes they don't last very long if they're not, exercised regularly. But it did start better after I tightened up the battery straps. Although, and I think you saw I had it up here on the lift and I was testing the generator, the solenoid didn't kick out a couple of times, but then it did. So I don't know whether that issue's fixed or not. It might be fixed, it might not be. The owner said, well, just order a new battery for me. He said, he says, I want it to work. And I got on Amazon and I can't find a battery that I could get delivered here by the time he wants to pick the bike up. So there's no point in me ordering a battery because it won't get here in time. Local shops, I don't know whether they'll have one or not. I might make a few calls tomorrow. Of course, hopefully by this time tomorrow, I will have tried it, several more times to see how it starts. So maybe it needs a battery, maybe it doesn't. I'll find out tomorrow. But yeah, I'm out of here tonight. I'm going to clean up a little bit, and we'll see you tomorrow. And with a little luck, this might drive tomorrow. See ya. Have a good night. Bye. Men, if you like this channel and this content, the single most important thing you could do to help grow this channel is to hit the subscribe button. I also have new design coffee cups and stickers available. I like the old coffee cups, but I like these new ones even more. Links are included in the description down below. And for those of you who really want to go the extra mile, you could join me on Patreon. Link is also included in the description down below. And to all of you who have watched these videos, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you very much. I really, really do appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Bye.